Hello and welcome to this, our most recent edition of the 8 News Now Investigators Show. I'm Kyle Payne, not joined today by my brilliant and talented award-winning colleagues, David Charns and Vanessa Murphy. Vanessa, of course, hosts High Heels and Hidden Truths Wednesday at 7 p.m., an excellent show. She does such a wonderful job. But today, we're doing something a little bit different. I taped a special on a 3-part series that I did on historic commercial center near downtown Las Vegas, in between what they call in the forest, Sahara, all the way down until you get to this area, which is a giant parking lot with buildings surrounding it, and on either side of it, Vicky's Diner, now the Composer's Room, which used to be Commercial Deli, where the Rat Pack used to play. You're going to hear that a lot. So I had this 3-part series. We shot it on location. I thought over the holidays it would be a nice opportunity to get into something a little bit more in-depth. And so there are 4 parts to it, and part 1 is now.
Living in the sun.
Living in the Las Vegas sun.
We're missing $7.8 million.
Right, you still want your dough.
It's not fair.
All's fair in local politics.
I think you had a newly elected official who just doesn't even understand the process.
And the process can pit politician against politician. Is there any concern that those constituents have that they got robbed? We dig into an issue affecting the future of a huge piece of Las Vegas's past. Historic Commercial Center. Hello, and thank you for joining us. I'm Kyle Payne, on assignment here inside the Composer's Room near downtown in the shadow of the world-famous Las Vegas Strip. The Rat Pack used to hang out here when it was Commercial Deli way back in the 1960s. And now it's home to a popular bar and restaurant on one side, and here where I'm standing, a theater, where local musicians and other entertainers play a soundtrack over a story that combines a years-long effort to restore the once booming area around it. It's at the center of a $10 million political controversy, money one county commissioner says another spent on his way out the door.
You can call my office and set up an appointment.
We set up an appointment with April Becker, the commissioner for Clark County's District C, as soon as we heard rumblings that she was missing millions of dollars she thought was waiting for her when she was sworn in.
Right before I got sworn in. This would have been the last meeting of December.
The last meeting of last December.
It's been an incredible journey, and I thank everybody for the experience.
Was the last meeting for then District C Commissioner Ross Miller.
If it sounds like it's too good of a deal, they should really do their homework.
The former Secretary of State, now a Las Vegas attorney in private practice, Miller served 1 term and opted not to run for a second, paving the way for April Becker after Miller held office for 4 years.
I live in District C. Nothing's been done. I mean, there's been no new money spent in District C in over 4 years.
And that's not an exaggeration. That's
not an exaggeration.
Exaggeration or otherwise, Becker had big plans for District C. So when she found out almost $14 million given to each district was gone from hers.
And then I did my research, and yes, it makes no sense.
So let's make some sense of it. The original amount given to each district was $14 million for an account created primarily to improve and develop the county's parks. But each district's $14 million quickly sank to less than 10 because
I do not have a specific recollection of whatever the act of deleting was that day, no.
The county settled a lawsuit for $80 million in a case involving a proposed housing development on Blue Diamond Hill, in which another commissioner, District F's Justin Jones, was found to have wiped his phone clean of text messages he was not supposed to delete. Part of the way the county paid that hefty settlement was to take about $4 million from the $14 million in each district's discretionary parks account, leaving $9.8 million for each commissioner to do with whatever it is they wanted to do, bringing us to the one thing everyone can agree on. Ross Miller, in one of his last acts as county commissioner, spent every last penny, leaving the newcomer, April Becker, with none.
Like down to the cents, like 33 cents. They wiped the whole fund out.
Even though most of Commissioner Becker's parks and recreation areas are actually within the confines of the city of Las Vegas, Becker says she would have used some of that $9.8 million to spruce up summer camps within Clark County, like this sometimes snowy one in beautiful Lee Canyon. But that's not what Ross Miller chose to do at the end of his term. Not at all.
I knew that coming into office as county commissioner, that one of the key things I wanted to work on was the development of a creative arts district. We absolutely have to have one of those in Las Vegas if we're going to maintain our status as the entertainment capital of the world.
The entertainment capital of the world. Made famous by the King and others who not only used to wow crowds on the world-famous Las Vegas Strip and do business down the road at Commercial Center in Las Vegas. The King used to shop at the jewelry store. The Rat Pack used to dine at a spot here at Commercial Center, where decades after the height of its popularity, this former Clark County Commissioner gave all $9.8 million of those discretionary dollars to help develop it.
You've laid the seeds for things that are going to really blossom in commercial centers.
In the redevelopment area, in an entirely different district run by an entirely different county commissioner, the commission chair, Tick Segerblom. And you would contend that Ross Miller's not the kind of guy who would pull a fast one on the way out the door?
It's just the opposite, just the opposite. Honestly, he's been trying to spend that money over here for years.
I spent 4 years working with stakeholders, constituents, following the reports that have existed for 20 years as to how to spend this money so that we can create catalytic projects that will reinvigorate this area.
Miller defending his depleting of those $9.8 million, saying when he took office, his predecessor did the same thing to him. The chairman saying that's how it goes on the Clark County Commission.
Most of us came into office and the pot was dry.
And Segerblom says that's the end of it. And all is on the up and up there?
Right.
There's nothing nefarious.
Right.
Right or wrong, Segerblom still found a way to get a couple $1 million back to April Becker and District C. Is that a sign that you feel like she may have a point?
No, honestly, I felt bad that she wanted to have some money.
But there's still $7.8 million.
Right. I imagine you want your money.
Yes, I do want my money.
I mean, the idea that somehow you would walk into office and based off of a previous budget, just inherit $10 million and go spend it without any planning, that's scary.
Commissioner April Becker fought City Hall, so to speak, and won. In her first year on the County Commission, she got the rest of that money back. And when we come back, we'll talk about a comeback of a storied piece of the Las Vegas landscape and look back at the history of Commercial Center and its long anticipated, constantly delayed resurrection. Welcome back to our 8 News Now Investigators program. I'm Kyle Payne. Now, we shot we're taping this episode right around Christmas 2025. We shot that series and aired it in April, May 2025. And it came from a tip. I think we like to share some of the behind the scenes. That came from a tip. I made some calls. I was told nothing to see here. Move on. And our chief in charge of news here said, no, keep going. So I actually called April Becker, who I wasn't sure I had any sort of relationship with. And she said on our first phone call, yes, I am missing that money. That's 100% true. And she came in to the studio. I had never met her. We had a wonderful interview, as you saw. And then when I called Ross Miller and said, April Becker says your money that you spent should have been for her constituents, well, you saw there was some genuine emotion from both of their standpoints. And Tick Segerblom, the commission chair, sort of played middle for me in this, one side and the other. And he said, there's nothing wrong here, but I did give her $2 million back, and in the end, she got her money. So that was one long story, and we have always talked here about, or often talked here about Commercial Center. We cover it a lot. It's been going on for a while. It will continue to go on for a while, and so we decided to stretch it out and get into some of the context of that, and so we did a second part and a third part as part of that series. And part 2, which we're going to watch now, is a little bit more about where it is and where it came from. And let's watch that now. That's the sound of progress. This huge yellow building, which county commissioners say could turn into this village, including a marketplace and a reflective sanctuary. But right now, here behind me, you can see the beginning of what will be an entire demolition in a rundown part of Las Vegas, known more for its past, now one of the city's most dangerous areas, notorious for its problems with the homeless, prostitution, and violent crime.
We asked Metro Police about the prostitution in the area. They tell us it's a small problem. We also checked with a couple of businesses. They tell us they've accepted the loitering and the businesses can coexist.
That's my colleague, 8 News Now investigator Vanessa Murphy back in April 2016. Even then, it was an area ready for something new because we've been having the same old conversation for a while now. The real commercial center advocates say it could become the fine arts capital of the world. It's a song some in that community say they've heard before. Way back before Dead & Co. took over the world-famous Las Vegas Strip, the Grateful Dead jammed down on Sahara on the other side of Maryland Ave in the heyday of the now 62-year-old commercial center. And they weren't alone. The Doors played here, and Led Zeppelin, and some of the biggest acts in the history of rock and roll.
Yeah, it would be a true live, work, play cultural arts district.
A cultural arts district in Clark County, says former County Commissioner Ross Miller, not to be confused with the arts district downtown in the city of Las Vegas. The politicians behind it say this county project would add fine arts to the menu for a city that serves up basically anything and everything you can think of. Miller, who gave us a walking tour of Commercial Center earlier this year,
I'm not sure what the policy upside is to allowing these things to begin with.
A few months after he left his seat on the county commission, where he ruffled some feathers when he gave about $10 million of discretionary Parks and Rec money to a pet project of the commission's chair, Tick Sagerblum, emptying an account.
How money is spent, how money is accounted for.
An incoming commissioner, April Becker, expected to be able to spend herself on the district she was voted in to represent.
Where's your plan? I mean, what specifically did you want to spend it on that's ready to go?
That money, and we're talking many more millions than the $10 million Miller gave to the Commercial Center project, the redevelopment of a humongous piece of land that way back when was as Las Vegas as, well, Las Vegas. But nobody's invested any real money in the area since the 1960s.
There's lots of things happening, but this place was very run down.
Run down is, by all accounts, an understatement from Segerblum, who's the county's #1 pitchman for legalizing pot and for the Commercial Center redevelopment. After an entire generation or more of neglect, over time it deteriorated and catered to businesses who catered away from the mainstream, including a well-known swingers club and other businesses you won't find most places.
Well, first off, this was the most dangerous area in the county. Between here and this Sahara Hotel, it was called the Forest.
To make the Forest a little more manageable, Sagerblum says, the county spent a few $100 million adding a bus line to clear up some of the foot traffic, stationing some police and extra security, trying to make it safer for people who live near Commercial Center, and more palatable for the people who shop there.
So there's no other place like this in the world where you have a major street a mile from the Strip, which is the #1 employer, with this trash. And it's just like begging for developers to come in and see this, and people wanting to live here and work here.
Here on these 28 acres, the county is buying up buildings. When they woo developers, they're expecting plenty more to pop up all over the 1,500 space parking lot. And with all that talk of big development comes some pretty big ideas, like creating a Fremont Street-like experience, or a surf park, albeit in a climate not known for its water sports, or even for its water for that matter. The sky's the limit for the folks planning this new iteration of Commercial Center.
Would I dare just to live one day?
One day, UNLV senior Sean Evans and his castmates will be singing show tunes in a cabaret at Commercial Center on the stage here inside the Composers Room, as part of the College of Fine Arts' second season of its Arts in the Center series, putting artists like Sean Evans here on stage in a brand new surrounding.
I'm really excited to get out there into the community because especially the theater community out here is starting to thrive in Vegas, and to be a part of another performance here is just, it's great. Theater is community. Morning out there.
A college community partnering with the county as the Commercial Center project's first steps to tie this area of Las Vegas with fine arts, but not its last, because one of the major attractions, the politicians tell me, is the people who put on the annual EDC event every year have agreed to take over one of the theater spaces. But for now, the parking lot is mostly used for UNLV's student productions and customers of the many local businesses and popular ethnic restaurants, who the politicians promise if and when Commercial Center rises from the dead.
One of the things that's crazy about Las Vegas is we always are tearing things down, but we never celebrate who we are. And this is going to be the first place to actually celebrate who we are, where we came from.
And where they're going could take a while to figure out, being that it took decades to get where they are. Where we are is right in the center of what could be any number of things, if it gets developed, such as an art center, a cultural center, and an outdoor event space, and farmers market. The county is buying up buildings in the neighborhood, doing what it can to transform an eyesore in the desert into a modern-day Mecca. So part two, I thought was fascinating, just the history of the Commercial Center. And, you know, Las Vegas, our viewers know it, but I think it's an area of interest, especially because of what they're trying to do. You know, they're talking about maybe demolishing, and they're talking about developing. And we'll be talking about part three when we come back. Welcome back to our 8 News Now Investigator program. I'm Kyle Payne. So by way of background, you saw part one where we got into a little bit of beef over millions of dollars that centered around Commercial Center. And then we showed part two, which sort of showed the history. And like I said, people love the history. Elvis shopping at the jeweler, the Rat Pack, the actual Rat Pack going to the commercial deli, which is now the Composer's Room, which I had the great fortune, thanks to the owner, of going in and taping my special, which was phenomenal. We did some outside, but we did the beginning and end segments inside, and it was tremendous. So part three now is what's ahead. And there's a lot. There's a lot of plans, but there's a lot of questions, and there's a lot of things that seem like they may never happen, and if they do, they could be years away. But it also seems quite possible, because there's restaurants that are open there, a steakhouse that is going to open there. The tenants are still there, even though, you know, I'm told the elevator doesn't work, and one of the buildings is being demolished as we speak. So it's interesting, and this next part three here shows you how long we think it might take. If you've ever had guests visit Las Vegas, you probably recognize the world-renowned Thai restaurant Lotus of Siam just off the Strip. But before it became a must-see Las Vegas landmark, it was the place to be and be seen at Commercial Center.
Everybody wants a shiny new toy. They don't want to invest their time and efforts into making this the shiny new toy. Right. And I feel like that's where we are at with Commercial Center. People keep forgetting about it.
But the family behind Lotus of Siam hasn't forgotten and is planning a comeback to Commercial Center. The new Lotus of Siam will be right here in this building, currently under construction. The original Lotus was one of the anchors of an old Las Vegas hotspot, but very little has changed since the area here fell apart, begging the question, what's it going to take to bring back Commercial Center? Look around the kitchen of Lotus of Siam's flagship location on Flamingo, and you can all but smell those old-world dishes and distinct Thai flavors from their age-old recipes bubbling off your screen. And it might remind you of an old neighborhood where Lotus of Siam got its start in Commercial Center, not far from the world-famous Las Vegas Strip. What do you remember?
Everything, you know, from original Commercial Center, which was
back in the 1990s, when the restaurant's second-generation owner, Penny Chutima, was a child, but not an only child. She shares a birthright with the original Lotus of Siam.
You know, it's considered my mother's firstborn, even though I am. So
it's no surprise when her mother told her it was time to reopen the restaurant that put Lotus of Siam on the map here in Las Vegas and made it a destination for tourists the world over. Penny Chutima did as she was told, even though another thing she remembers is the rough neighborhood around their business at Commercial Center.
People said this was the most scariest plaza in Las Vegas.
Crime.
High crime.
Hookers.
Plenty.
Plenty of that was enough for the owners of Lotus of Siam, who left Commercial Center in 2017 and went back 4 years later, 4 years ago in 2021. They're closed for now, revamping their business and restructuring this humongous old building just in time for Commercial Center to do a revamp of its own.
We actually bought a couple of buildings here that we're going to tear down and make them into, ideally, museums and different office space.
Space they've got. Commercial Center is enormous. It's in Clark County Commission Chair Tick Sagerblum's District E, but even Sagerblum admits the planning is many years ahead of the doing, and a lot needs to be done.
Well, if this center prospers like I think it will, then hopefully on both sides of it will be major high-rises, lots of housing, affordable housing mixed with nice housing across the street.
Across the parking lot from where we interviewed the commissioner is a decent example of what's taking so long to get Commercial Center's redevelopment off the ground.
There's no other place like this in Southern Nevada. It's definitely not beautiful right now, but it will be.
It's been rough, though, opening a new restaurant here at Artie's. The owner, Derek Stonebarger, says there have been major slowdowns getting to the finish line. But he's never stopped over the 2 years he's had to deal with utility company delays and other unforeseen setbacks. But Stonebarger is an optimist, as we learned from this interview in 2023.
This whole area is ripe for revitalization.
Actually, I've been in the plaza since 1992.
And what would a story about Commercial Center be without hearing from Paula Sadler, owner of a Harmony Salon and Spa at this location for over 20 years. She does a lot here to take care of the Commercial Center, including running its social media account and
neighborhood cleanup, graffiti removal, taking away weeds. I had over a dozen abandoned cars towed away. We striped the parking lot. We did all the safety markings, all on volunteer contributions, and it was a great success.
Success, though, can depend on how you measure it. And Sadler's seen prior failures when it comes to trying to redo the Commercial Center. Do we agree it's taking too long?
It is taking too long, yeah, that's for sure.
Why?
Well, there's a lot of reasons for that. One of the main reasons was in 2008, 2009, we had the Great Recession.
Sadler says half of the businesses inside Commercial Center had to close, and that Commercial Center, over its long history, doesn't endure economic downturns particularly well, and thinks any real progress is 5 to 10 years away, and she hopes redevelopment doesn't raise her rent or force her and the other small business owners at Commercial Center out.
I'm a proponent for redevelopment. I think it's wonderful. It's great. Just make sure that they take care of the people that are here now.
And for people like Derek Stonebarger, the owner of Artie's, there's a different kind of perspective.
I think that the future is really bright for the area, for art and culture and community.
Lotus of Siam could be serving its world-famous food within a matter of months. And the owner of Artie's Steakhouse says he'll be open one way or another within a year. Which brings us back to where we started, with local politics.
I'm trying to save you from having to come back and ask me to give you another $50 million, because the answer would probably be nope.
So, in my opinion, you don't get to do that many minutes of television without people being very hospitable. And the owner of Lotus of Siam let us in not only to her Flamingo restaurant, but to the Commercial Center restaurant. We saw the massive expansion and renovation that they're doing. The owner of the Composer's Room could not have been more accommodating. And that last part about the owner of Artie's Steakhouse was shot and written and reported by John Langler, who is an excellent journalist in his own right. And I thought his interview really, really fit into a nice puzzle piece for that show, for that segment. So we have the beef that started in the beginning about the money. Then we had what the plans are, how long it might take, and now at the end, on the other side of this break, we'll talk about where are we now. Welcome back to our 8 News Now Investigators program. I'm Kyle Payne, talking today about Commercial Center, and it's interesting because this is a half-hour program now dedicated essentially to a shopping center. You know, we do stories about complex court cases, contractors who maybe leave a little to be desired and don't do right by people who they're working for, homeowners and so forth. My colleagues, Vanessa Murphy and David Charnes, do excellent stories about areas of the system that need to be addressed, criminal, prisons, you name it. And so this one is about a shopping center, but it's fascinating to me. And I think we talked to a lot of interesting people and we showed a lot of interesting things. But the sheer number of millions and millions and millions of dollars that it's going to take to make this place viable is interesting and somewhat difficult to wrap your head around, not only for me and I'm sure for the viewers, but for the Clark County Commission. And that's this segment, part 4. Welcome back to the Composer's Room at Commercial Center in Las Vegas. This is the spot I interviewed Clark County Commission Chairman Tick Sagerblum, whose plans to rehabilitate 4 two-story buildings totaling 72,500 square feet of retail and office space was roundly criticized by the other commissioners at a redevelopment meeting this summer. District B Commissioner Marilyn Kirkpatrick thought it made more sense to rehab the buildings one by one, and other commissioners like District G's Jim Gibson suggested rethinking the whole approach.
Including maybe even a demolition, and we get a master developer and we impose some serious time constraints while we're planning the whole thing, and we get a really good result in the moment.
The moment, though, for Commercial Center will most likely be many years away, not to mention many millions of dollars in planning, construction, and innovation. So there's the full report on Commercial Center as of Christmas time 2025. I don't think we can say another word about it. We've really put it all out there. This episode airs on Monday at 7. Of course, every Monday at 7, you can see an 8 News Now Investigators show on our streaming app. And on Wednesdays at 7, my brilliant and talented colleague Vanessa Murphy has High Heels and Hidden Truths, her own streaming program, which I highly recommend. And I will see you, or my colleagues David Charns and Vanessa Murphy will see you on the next program. Thank you for watching. I'm Kyle Payne.